A very logical day to all of you. So, this editorial that we are going to discuss today is of 14th of March, the first editorial of the Indian Express. And for those who are listening to it for the first time, to this session, that is editorial discussion session for the first time, I'll just give you a brief that what we are going to do is first we'll be reading the editorial. Simultaneously, we'll be extracting the central idea of that particular paragraph or on the whole passage also. And of course, after that, we'll be discussing the vocabulary. We'll discuss the main idea and then the vocabulary, of course. What is expected of you is one, to keep your notebooks with you handy, a notebook and a pen with you, so that when you're reading, you're able to note down your difficult words. A few I have highlighted, but maybe you have more difficult words also, and it is possible that you may know the meaning of the words that I have highlighted, because I need to keep in mind all those people also who may be of a different caliber. That is why many a times you would find that, see, you know the meaning, it's a very commonly used word. But ठीक है, किसी न किसी के लिए तो वो difficult होगा, and therefore, or you also can do the same thing, that if you have a simple word also, then you look up that word in the dictionary and come up with two or three better words for it. This is again a way of how you can improve on your vocabulary, you can enrich your vocabulary. So let's see what we have to do today. Yes, and you'll be happy. Why? Because the topic is a really good one. The big picture. Picture, अब पिक्चर कोई सी भी हो सकती है. Let's see किसके बारे में कौन सी पिक्चर है ये. Here, the two Indian productions made history at Los Angeles Dolby Theatre on Sunday evening. The Elephant Whisperers, Kartike Gonzalez's debut film, won the best documentary short film, and Natu, composed by M.M. Kiravani. I'm definitely sure that none of you have missed seeing this song, the dance also, or the movie also. Lyrics by Chandra Bose from the S.S. Rajamouli film RRR won Best Original Song at the 95th Academy Awards. Three Indian films had been among the nominees this year. Shaunak Sain's All That Breathes was up for the Best Documentary Feature Film, but lost out to Navalny, which is about the Russian dissident Alexei Navalny. For two of the three Indian nominees to end up with statues is a big moment for Indian cinema. Oscars, after all, is a global benchmark of excellence in filmmaking. So there were three movies that were nominated, or rather, there were three nominees there. से मूवीज नहीं थी, दो मूवीज थी. One was the best documentary feature film, another was a best documentary short film, and then one was the lyrics, this song, the best original song, right? So there were three nominees and two of them won the statues. So statues का meaning तुम्हें समझ में आ जाएगा. It is the figurine, it is a figure, or it is the statue that you get at the Oscars or any other award function. So that is the statues. Now, the wins for RRR and the Elephant Whisperers mark a new recognition in the West of the full spectrum of cinema that India produces, an acknowledgement that there is more to the films made here than Bollywood. For long, even as filmmakers like Satyajit Ray and Adur Gopalakrishnan were featured in the film festival circuit, and lately Indian documentaries were recognized at festivals like Cannes, the bulk of Indian cinema has attracted little critical attention. Little का मतलब होता है not much. ठीक है, इसका मतलब ज्यादा लोगों ने, ज्यादा क्रिटिक्स ने भी ओवरऑल इंडियन बल्क ऑफ इंडियन सिनेमा पे ध्यान नहीं दिया है. Featured in ka meaning you can understand from this. Filmmakers like Satyajit Ray and Adur Gopalakrishnan were featured in the film festival circuit, and lately Indian documentaries were recognized. So featured in, if you do not know the meaning, you can still understand the meaning of recognized at festivals. तो recognize मतलब ध्यान देना किसी पे. ठीक है, तो फीचर्ड का मतलब भी उनको रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया ऐसे फिल्म मेकर्स को, या दे वर रिगार्डेड और दे वर ऑनर्ड. सो यू गेट द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस वर्ड featured from the surrounding words only, right? This is what we have been doing. So if I come back to the major point of this part of the paragraph, it says that see, it is not only what Bollywood creates, which is considered as Indian cinema, but there is much more to cinema, the Indian cinema, which is not even showcased, which is not even seen by the critics or focused by the critic. So we need to understand the underlying thought process. अभी पढ़ने में ये बहुत मजा भी आएगा, बहुत अच्छा भी है, you can relate to it also. लेकिन अगर इसके ऊपर critical reasoning के questions आते हैं, मतलब seemingly तो बड़ा simple सा passage है, लेकिन अगर इस पे critical reasoning का आता है, अगर इस पे inference वाला question आता है या assumption वाला question आता है, so you need to understand the major point of the author, and that is that India is not only about Bollywood, right? There are see best documentary small films also, and this too was a debut film, right? So that means there are people like Kartiki Gonsalves also who are coming up with a new thought in the movies. And then best documentary feature film was also about this Shaunak Sen, राइट तो उसने जो भी कहा है तीनों का नाम मेंशन किया और तीन नॉमिनीज होना ऑस्कर में कोई छोटी बात नहीं है वो बोलते हैं कि देखो कहाँ कहाँ से वो एक इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर चले जा रहे हैं नॉमिनीज बनकर भी सो दैट मीन्स देयर इज मोर टू इंडियन सिनेमा देन व्हेन व्हाट वी टॉक अबाउट बॉलीवुड ओनली. Now, the RRR Juggernaut, having already snared a Golden Globe and other awards, rode into the Oscars positioned as a favorite in its category and backed by a massive, stubborn campaign by Rajamouli after his film was snubbed in favor of Pan Allen's Shallow Show as India's official entry in the race. Juggernaut, you get a word. Though I have not marked it, but Juggernaut is a word that is that means unstoppable, right? So I'll take this word again later, but for the time being, you can use this word unstoppable. It is already snared. Snared means to catch hold of something, to trap something. तो उसने गोल्डन ग्लोब को तो छीन लिया है उसके पास है. In other words, it rode into the Oscars positioned as a favorite in its category, right? And his film was snubbed in favor of this shallow show as India's official entry in the race. RRR's epic scale and everything but the kitchen sink approach is in sharp contrast to the intimate tale of two orphaned elephants and their human caretakers told by Gonzalez non-fiction short. A short matlab short films. The film's wins must also be seen against the larger conversation about diverse voices that is gripping Hollywood and making room for stories from other cultures. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, the story of an Asian American family featuring actors of Asian origin, sweeping the awards is evidence of the churn. Evidence of the churn means there are things that are changing. ठीक है churn का मतलब होता है उसे घुमाना whip करना राइट उसे रॉयल कह सकते हैं whip कह सकते हैं टॉस कह सकते हैं ठीक है churning होता है मतना everything it is like tossed ठीक है व्हेन यू मेक लस्सी ठीक है तो उसे चर्निंग कहते हैं तुम्हारे पास एक किचन डिवाइस होता है चर्नर कहते हैं उसे ठीक है तो मतलब किसी चीज को घुमाना अब यहाँ पे जैसे कभी समुद्र मंथन तुमने सुनी होगी कहानी ठीक है जहाँ पे देवताओं ने और असुरों ने समुद्र मंथन किया था एंड देन देयर वर थिंग्स दैट वर कमिंग आउट जिसमें अमृत भी था और जिसमें विष भी था ये कहानी तो किसी ने बचपन से सुनी होगी कि विष शिव जी ने पी लिया था एंड देयरफॉर ही इज कॉल्ड नीलकंठ. That's a different matter. The point here is that I want to give you the meaning of the word churn. Churn means now things are changing. So now if things are tossing around, they are changing. That means everything was first related to Hollywood in the Oscars. Now there are movies of the Asian origin also, right? And it gave the example, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Story of an Asian American family featuring actors of Asian origin, sweeping the awards is evidence of the churn. मतलब sweeping the awards मतलब पूरा उसने awards पे झाड़ू लगा दिया. झाड़ू लगा दिया का मतलब होता है it collected all the awards, so most of the awards, so many awards you can say. So both RRR and the Elephant Whisperers, rooted as they are in the Indian milieu is Indian conditions, situations, were able to take advantage of this larger shift. They were also aided in no small measure by the entertainment revolution brought in by the OTT platforms. No small measures, matlab two negatives means plus. So that means they were aided sufficient measure, काफी था उनका हेल्प. किसका? एंटरटेनमेंट रेवोल्यूशन जो कि ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म से आता है. Gonzalez film was distributed by Netflix, while RRR's burst of fame came after it began streaming last year. RRR का जो song था, right? And therefore it got. Now, Indian cinema has long been touted as its greatest soft power, and the two Oscar wins present the opportunity to expand both its canvas and the market. This means creating conditions that allow the art to flourish, not just in terms of resources, but also in experimenting with ideas and views that may not necessarily be conforming with the mainstream. Not necessarily be conforming मतलब mainstream के हिसाब से या जैसा mainstream होता है उसके तरीके से चलना ये जरूरी नहीं है. That means there is a change that is being brought about in the Indian cinema also. Conform means to stick to, not to follow or follow. उसे conform कहते हैं. Rules के मुताबिक चलना would be to conform to the rules. So it is not necessarily that necessary that these movies conform to the mainstream. Despite being one of the largest filmmaking countries in the world, India's track record at the Oscars has been dismal. You can understand the meaning of the word dismal by the meaning of the word despite. Despite का मतलब हमने यूज किया है बचपन से देखा ये word despite मतलब इसके बावजूद. Right? So that means you need something that is contrasting. So India's track record at the Oscars is not very good, but it was it is the largest filmmaking country in the world. Now, RRI and the Elephant Whisperers have taken a first step towards correcting this imbalance. Sorry, over to tomorrow's storytellers and actors and artists to make the most of this historic moment. Historic is something that is very significant, very crucial. So this is actually bringing a change. This is a historic moment. मतलब जैसे वर्ल्ड कप जीतना क्रिकेट में हिस्टोरिक मोमेंट होता है फिर चाहे अंडर 19 का भी कप जीतना हिस्टोरिक मोमेंट. So here also the Oscar, winning the Oscar and that too not one but two in different categories is not short of a historic moment. It is also very significant, very crucial, and it can actually bring a change in the upcoming years. Change in the Indian cinema in the upcoming years. ठीक है? तो हमने पूरा डिस्कस भी कर लिया मेन आइडियाज भी हमें समझ में आ गए कि देखो इंडिया की जो इंडियन सिनेमा है इट इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट बॉलीवुड देयर इज अ लॉट मोर देन दैट एंड दीज मूवीज गेटिंग एन ऑस्कर is not a small thing. This is an indication that Indian cinema or Bollywood is changing for the better. You can say for the better बोल सकते हो. It means it is widening its expanse. So, success of RRR, Elephant Whisperers at Oscars is a moment to savor and build on. दोनों चीजें बोल दी उसने कि it is a moment to savor मतलब you can actually savory is something that you would relish, that you would cherish, that you would enjoy. So this is a moment which is a historic moment. You will love this moment, and it is a moment that's going to bring a change. So you need to build on this moment. ठीक है ऐसे मूवीज को या ऐसे सॉन्ग्स को जब ऑस्कर मिलता है या जब वो नॉमिनेट होते हैं ऑस्कर्स में दैट शोज दैट द हॉलीवुड थिंग इज चेंजिंग एंड वी ऑल्सो कैन बी रिकॉग्नाइज इन दैट एरिया वी नीड टू बिल्ड ऑन what we have earned today, right? So all this can be inferred. अभी जो मैंने आखिरी के दो sentences में description दिया ना वो पूरा inference है क्योंकि यहाँ पे सिर्फ information देना author का काम नहीं है. That will be all the facts. The point of the author of the passage or the central idea of the passage or what can we infer from the passage can be that we got this Oscar, fine. Things are changing, fine. What is to be done now? So we need to take advantage of this changing times and come up with something better in the coming years. This thing can be an inference from the passage, right? So yesterday we just started, no, Monday 13th. So we started with understanding the critical reasoning questions on the basis of the passages कि कहाँ क्या assumption हो सकता है, कहाँ क्या inference या conclusion हो सकता है. तो धीरे धीरे हमें इस तरीके से author का दिमाग समझना है, because RCs also will give you many inference type questions, and of course we have a whole section of critical reasoning where we need to understand this. Seemingly difficult passages में easy questions हो सकते हैं, seemingly easy and such passages where you are able to relate to very easily, right? Because it's a topic of your interest, you can say. But then you need to still catch the author's underlying thought that is flowing through the passage, right? Come on, let's see what we have in terms of vocabulary here. So statutes we discussed, statue और figurines हम कर सकते हैं. छोटी छोटी figures जो होते हैं उसे figurines कहेंगे या sculptures होते हैं. स्नेयर का मतलब होता है उसे एंट्रैप कर देना, उसे पकड़ लेना. तो एंट्रैप्ड हो सकता है, कॉट हो सकता है. एंट्रैप्ड कैन ऑल्सो बी द वर्ड, और देयर इज अनदर वर्ड दैट इज एनस्नेयर. तो सिर्फ स्नेयर नहीं होता है, एनस्नेयर भी होता है. सिर्फ ट्रैप नहीं होता है, एंट्रैप भी होता है. क्योंकि ईएन का फंडा क्या होता है? ईएन मीन्स टू डू. तो एंट्रैप का मतलब होता है किसी को जाल में फंसाना. स्नब्ड इज डिसरिगार्डेड और ridiculed. So earlier the movie was snubbed, but then it made its own position. Churn we have seen, whip, toss, agitate. Agitator कैसे होता है? ऐसे गोल गोल घूमने वाला. तो churning उसी को कहते हैं. Right? Milieu is the location, setting, conditions. आप कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. तो इंडियन conditions हैं और इसके मुताबिक मूवी में ऐसा होना, right? And they are winning the Oscars also. That's a different matter. Featured in we have done honor, entertain lavishly. ठीक है. Touted. Indian cinema has been touted as such, that is hyped, flaunted. उसके बारे में कुछ बोलना, वो हो जाता है tout. Conforming का meaning हम कर चुके हैं, compliant होना है, following. And epic means historic. It was an epic moment. ठीक है, epics हमने सुना है वर्ड, जैसे महाभारत है, गीता है, भगवत गीता है, रामायण है, और ऐसे epics बोलते हैं. ठीक है, तो एपिक का मतलब ये नहीं होता है दैट इट्स अ होली बुक. एपिक मीन्स अ लॉन्ग सागा. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट लिटरेचर, epic is a long saga, or rather saga is only a long poem, right? So a poem that is long is also known as saga. तो epic वही होता है, एक poem form में होता है. ठीक है, it is on a national hero and that hero also suffers a lot, and then it is called a saga. ठीक है, मतलब बहुत बड़ी कहानी होती है, नेशनल हीरो के ऊपर बेस्ड होती है, उसे एपिक कहते हैं. तो एपिक को हम नॉर्मल वर्ड के साथ यूज करेंगे तो इट विल बी ग्रैंड एंड हिस्टोरिक. एज आई सेड अर्लियर, एपिक इज रिलेटेड टू अ नेशनल हीरो. ठीक है, तो एपिक सिर्फ ये रामायण महाभारत नहीं होगी, लेकिन कोई भी ऐसी वॉल्यूमिनस बुक जो कि नेशनल हीरो पे बेस्ड होगी, राइट? आई रिमेंबर वन सच बुक, इफ यू हैव heard it, I know you have not read it, but yes, even heard about it. It is one, The Paradise Lost, written by Milton. 12 huge volumes हैं उसके. ठीक है, मिल्टन ने लिखा था. So saga का मीनिंग समझ में आ गया हमें. ग्रैंड, हिस्टोरिक, एम्बिशियस. Now there is one idiom that we have, everything but the kitchen sink. ठीक है, you realize sometimes when you go on a picnic or on a day trip or on a trip, say 6 to 7 days का जो trip होगा, right? And if it was a train journey, you or your parents or your mother would put in many small things. ये भी ले लेते हैं, ये भी ले लेते हैं, ये भी रख लेते हैं, कभी काम आ जाएगा, ऐसा भी ले लेते हैं. ठीक है, इतनी सारी चीजें ले लेना, तो उसे हम कह सकते हैं फिर टेकिंग एवरीथिंग बट द किचन सिंक. तो यहाँ पर बट का मीनिंग होता है एक्सेप्ट. अब क्या करें, किचन सिंक में से किचन में से हम किचन सिंक हटा नहीं सकते हैं ना. सो बट द रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स यू विल टेक except the kitchen sink. So when many inessential things are also included, then you can say that he has taken everything but the kitchen sink. राइट। आई एम श्योर ऐसा किसी ना किसी कभी ना कभी घर पे किसी ने बोला ही होगा कि यार एक दिन के लिए जा रहे हैं, इतना सामान, 2 दिन का ट्रिप है, क्या भर लिया है बैग्स में, राइट। सो आई पूछ लेना कभी, आस्क पेरेंट्स, आस्क सिबलिंग्स, आस्क एल्डर ब्रदर्स, ऐसा हुआ है, ऐसा होता है। दैट इज कॉल्ड टेकिंग एवरीथिंग बट द किचन सिंक. So on this note, we are going to end now and see you tomorrow. And that's all for today. So have a logical day.